Hello, my favorite English language learners. It is your favorite English teacher here, Amy Joy, and right now it is spooky season. If you don't know what that means, make sure you stick with me because in this video, I am going to teach you 20 Halloween vocabulary words along with famous American traditions during this Halloween time. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so during Halloween, there are a lot of different types of scary creatures. And our first one is the classic ghost. Ghosts are famous for saying boo and scaring people. So during Halloween, you will see the word boo all the time. Have a boo for Halloween. Then we have ghouls, which are very similar to ghosts. They are just evil spirits. You also might see signs that say, "Welcome, boys and ghouls," instead of "Welcome, boys and girls," because the word ghoul kind of sounds similar to girl. So if you see signs like this, don't be confused. Know that it's just because the word ghoul sounds like girl. And our next famous Halloween creature is the zombie. A zombie is just a person who rises from the dead, and sometimes they try to eat people. One of the most recent shows that featured zombies is called The Walking Dead, and it is basically about zombies attacking humans. And next up, we have vampires. Vampires are famous for having big fangs, those big pointy teeth. They are afraid of garlic, they love to suck blood, and they typically sleep in a coffin. And the most famous vampire is Dracula. Next up, we have these small little green creatures, which we call goblins or trolls. And all of these creatures that I've mentioned are examples of monsters. Monsters can really refer to any kind of animal, human thing that is supposed to be scary. Sometimes you hear about little kids being afraid of the dark because they think there is a monster under their bed. Now, the next creature is probably one of the most famous ones of Halloween, and that is witches. Witches are famous for riding on broomsticks and casting spells. Notice the verb here, to cast a spell. This is a great collocation, and it means to control someone with magic. So the witches, they read out of their spell book and they cast a spell. One spell that is pretty famous is hocus pocus. These words don't really have any meaning, but they are magical and they are meant to control people. And actually, there is a very famous Disney movie called Hocus Pocus that tells the story of 3 witches. I really recommend this movie because it is very popular in the United States. This film is also actually so loved by Americans that 30 years later, well, 29, but almost 30 years later, they've actually made a second one, and it comes out this year. So I'm really excited to watch Hocus Pocus 2 and see what spells these witches cast this time. Now, in addition to spells, witches do magic by mixing potions in their cauldron. The word potion is a noun, and that is the magical liquid. And the cauldron is the big black pot where they put all of their magical ingredients. And the next Halloween character we have is the werewolf. When there is a full moon, werewolves change from humans into these wolf-like monsters. So you can see here the man is transforming from a human to a wolf because of the full moon. Now, the werewolves and the vampires and the zombies all tend to hang out in the same place, which is a graveyard. Graveyards are where dead people are buried. You can also call it a cemetery. And here you see a graveyard with lots of tombstones. A tombstone is the sign above a grave that says something about the person who is buried there. Here you can actually see a few different tombstones that I found in the store. Usually you see the acronym RIP, which means rest in peace. One says, "Be afraid," and this is kind of funny because the name is supposed to be B, the middle initial is supposed to be A, and then afraid is the last name. But when you hear the name said, it says, "Be afraid." English speakers love their puns and they love to play with words, so this is one example. We also see this tombstone with the saying bon voyage. Bones are related to creepy skeletons, and then voyage is like your trip. So this is a pun from the French phrase bon voyage. And then we see our last tombstone here that says trick or treat, and I am going to teach you what trick or treating is in just a little bit. Now, when we're talking about Halloween, there are 3 very important adjectives you need to know. They are spooky, eerie, and creepy. And all of these words mean scary, but more with a feeling of nervousness, apprehension, or uncertainty. For example, if you are walking in a graveyard late at night, all by yourself, that probably feels very creepy, very eerie, very spooky. Another example is a haunted house where you don't know what is around the corner. You don't know what's behind that door. That is very creepy, very spooky, very eerie. Now, a lot of things can be scary, but only these very specific situations are creepy, eerie, or spooky. And it's super important to know the word spooky because we actually call October spooky season. So you're going to see that phrase a lot. Okay, now that you know all of the vocabulary you need to know about Halloween, let's learn about some common American Halloween traditions. But before we do that, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can keep improving your English with me. Okay, I want to share with you some Halloween traditions that we have in the United States. First, I'm going to review the most famous Halloween song, and then I'm going to tell you about some fun Halloween events. So, to be honest, there is not a lot of Halloween music. The 2 most famous songs I can think of are 1, the Monster Mash, and 2, Michael Jackson's Thriller. I am going to show you the lyrics to the Monster Mash because it has almost all of the vocabulary that we just covered. So let's take a look at some of the lyrics. It says, I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. I saw something scary or spooky or creepy, for my monster from his slab or his bed began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise, he did the Monster Mash. And the Monster Mash is a kind of dance. It was a graveyard smash. This means it was very popular in the graveyard. It caught on in a flash. This means it became popular very quickly. He did the Monster Mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes or their homes to get a jolt or a shock from my electrodes. I don't really understand that line. The zombies were having fun. The party had just begun. And here you see this little monster dancing. The guests included Wolfman, who's a werewolf, Dracula, a vampire, and his son. The scene was rockin'. All were digging the sounds. To dig is slang for to enjoy something. Igor, a monster on chains, backed by his baying hounds. The Coffin bangers were about to arrive. So all of these monsters were basically playing instruments. Here's the chorus. The mash, they did the Monster Mash. It was a graveyard smash. In a flash, they did the Monster Mash. So if you end up going to a Halloween party and there is a Halloween music playlist, this song is 100% going to be on that playlist. I'll put a link in the description of this video so you can see the lyrics and hear the song for yourself. Okay, so besides this song, there are also some other traditions that I want to tell you about, and the 2 most important, most fun, and most popular are trick-or-treating and pumpkin carving. To trick or treat can be used as a verb. You can trick or treat or you can go trick or treating. And this is when little children get dressed up in costumes. Notice the phrasal verb to dress up or to get dressed up. You dress up as something. So this little girl is dressed up as a witch. So the little kids in their costumes walk around the neighborhood. They knock on the door of every house. And when the adults answer the door, the kids yell, "Trick or treat." So back when we saw that tombstone with the sign trick or treat, this is what it's referring to. And when the kids yell trick or treat, the adults give out lots and lots of candy. When I was little, I always loved to dress up as a Disney princess. One year I was Princess Jasmine from Aladdin, and I remember being so excited that I would ask my mom to go trick-or-treating at like 3 p.m. before everyone else because I could not wait. And I always had to sit in my costume and just wait until 5 p.m. And then my dad would take me and my brother out trick-or-treating while my mom stayed behind and handed out candy to the kids. And when I got home, I would love to count how many pieces of candy I got and compare it to my brother. So it was always kind of this competition of who could get more candy. And here you can see my local store selling candy for the trick-or-treaters. The aisles are filled with all sorts of candy. Sometimes I think it's a little excessive or a little extra or a little extravagant, but it gives you a good idea of how much Americans love Halloween time. All right, and in addition to trick-or-treating, another common tradition is pumpkin carving. To carve means to cut. And so before you cut your pumpkin, you need to go to the pumpkin patch to find the pumpkin you want to carve. Here is a nice photo of my husband and I at a pumpkin patch a few years ago. So when you're pumpkin carving, you cut a circle at the top of the pumpkin, you pull out all the seeds, it gets really messy, and then you draw a face on it and you carve out or you cut a face. Then you put a candle inside and the pumpkin glows. When you have a carved pumpkin with a candle in it, this is called a jack-o'-lantern. Some of my favorite Halloween memories are carving pumpkins with my family and going trick-or-treating. And I'm really curious, do you have any Halloween traditions in your country? Do you celebrate Halloween? Do you celebrate any other holidays during this spooky season? Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear and learn about your culture too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new. If you did, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel so you can keep improving your English with me. Have a spooktacular Halloween! Bye!